That's Oasis, Rock and Roll Star, and Noel Gallagher is a bona fide A-Division Rock and Roll Star. And welcome along everybody, Dave Fanning here with a 2-hour special in the company of Noel Gallagher. He's got a new album, his 4th since leaving Oasis in 2009. It's called Cosmic Skies, and it's from Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Just a bit of fact stuff first to get us started. Noel is one of the most successful songwriters in British music history, as the writer of 8 UK number 1 singles and co-writer of another one, as well as the sole primary writer of a staggering 10 UK number 1 albums. He's widely considered to be one of the most influential songwriters in the history of British rock music, cited by numerous major subsequent artists as an influence. So let's get started. Noel, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, I'm very well indeed.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again too.
Yeah.
Can we take a look first of all at Council Skies? It's number 4 of Noel Gallagher and High Flying Birds, right?
Yeah.
And so it's about 13 or 14 years since you left the band that you left. So is it a career? Is this what you want? Do you want to just keep making albums with the people you're making albums with and have guests in like Johnny Marr and all the rest and just be able to do whatever it is you want to do?
Well, I mean, I always take things one project at a time, really. But now, since 2020, I wrote so much material now. There's another couple of albums after this already written. But I don't know. I don't really look kind of past this bit and the tour, and then see what happens after that.
See what happens next.
You know yourself. You know, the family life and all that, kids growing up and all that. You don't know how keen you're going to be. This is going to be a pivotal period for me, going out on tour now. I don't know why I say that, but I can just sense it. I can sense it could go one of two ways after this.
In terms of your personal life or in terms of the music?
No, in just terms of... I'll never give up writing songs, that's for sure.
So, in other words, you'll stick with the kind of advice that David Bowie gave you once.
I'll keep writing, yeah, for sure. Touring, this is going to be the first tour post-pandemic. It's very difficult to get around these days, and all the rules and the economics of the music business has changed. So we'll see now. It's already kind of trying to set this tour up has already been a bit of a pain, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
Well, you're playing Kilmainham in Dublin on August the 27th. You're playing a lot of big gigs in the summer, and then you've got an arena tour with Garbage in the States and other things like that, right up to Christmas, etc. And that's what it's going to be. Okay, so you mentioned about writing the songs and the pandemic and all the rest. There is a sense when you listen to this album that I'm not saying it's nostalgic or anything, but reflective. I'm not even saying that you're older necessarily, but just time to sit back and take a look at who you are. Like in other words, can I say that quite a few of these songs might be maybe like Dead to the World, personal?
Dead to the World is for sure. Think of a Number is for sure. I'm Not Giving Up Tonight. Yeah. The Sentiment is for sure. But it's reflective in the sense that it was written in that first period of lockdown, right? And I guess because none of us had ever been in a pandemic before, and we didn't know where it was going, there's no future to look forward to. I think an artist would have navigated it the best. I personally finished off every song that I'd half written, and then started to reflect a little bit. It's not nostalgic. I wouldn't get nostalgic about my childhood or anything like that. It's not an overly watertight concept about the past or anything like that, but it's kind of reflective and thinking personally, how have we got to this place? And there was no where are we going.
Okay, you wouldn't necessarily get nostalgic about your childhood, but you would look back at, say, 1980 and the first gig you went to, which is The Damned, when you're 13 years of age or whatever, and then you spend 6 months trying to do bass lines of Joy Division and all the rest, and then take it right up to Bobby Gillespie, take it right up to Richard Ashcroft and that, and you can get nostalgic already about those things because that's when there was blood in the music or something.
Well, the 90s, yes, because was everything was all brand new, and the thing that you were doing or we were doing was all in front of us. But you can't write songs about that. You know, you can sit and... I was back in Manchester a couple of days ago. I was doing an interview with Clint Boone, obviously the keyboard player from the Spirals, and we were swapping old tales about when we used to go on tour together, but you couldn't really write songs about that, do you know what I mean? So this album was reflective of... not of recent history, not like ancient history.
Do you know, funny thing is, I'm going to play something from way back here because you were in here with Bonehead when the first album was released. I'm going to play some of that because we have got a 2-hour special coming up here. But I actually met you, are you ready for this, when you were with Inspirals.
Did you really?
Yeah, someplace in London when we were filming a Channel 4 programme and we had them on.
Oh, wow.
And you were there pushing gear.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a drug dealer.
Yeah. Take 2, you were there getting the equipment up on stage that people have to play music through.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were talking to Clint about that the other day. It was one of the happiest periods of my life. You know what I mean? Because I was in the music business, but I wasn't having my photograph taken. I was under no pressure to be anywhere on time. So they were good days.
Yeah, I know. Of course they were, and I get the impression that, like, you know, you learnt an awful lot from those days too. Did you? I learnt
a few things not to do more than anything.
Yeah.
They had some pretty dodgy management in the end and all that kind of thing. So I if anything, what I learned was that I was going to take the band out of Manchester. There was the Manchester thing had kind of lost its way a little bit, and there was and I'd met Johnny Marr, and he'd put me onto his manager who was in London, and Creation was in London, and it just felt like, pardon the pun, London was calling, you know.
Really? Like, you know, funny thing is, like, you know, a Noel Gallagher song can be played on acoustic guitar very easily.
Yeah.
You know, the people can, like, it's doable in every way.
Yeah.
And therefore the big songs that people have known from the past, people know them all really, really, really well. So what I'm getting to is here, look at all the people that have spent so much money, like all the companies giving them 3 and 4 million, like, I mean, 300 and 400 million, like Springsteen's getting 500 million, you know, Tom Petty's estate, Leonard Cohen, everybody has done it. Look, in fact, I've got a list here of a few of them. Look at this. Look, I mean, Justin Bieber has got 200 million for his songs, and he's like 4 years of age. That's ridiculous. Carry on. But like everybody, even Paul Rogers from Free and Bad Company has got 20. Motley Crue 90. Bowie 250, and that's the estate obviously of his. And there's a few other estates too. Like
Bowie only got 250.
Well, no, I don't think it's all his stuff.
Oh, right.
And also because it's all over the place. Well, Leonard Cohen and, like, you know, Joey Ramone, that's the estates. And there are people who don't care in one way and just want to sell it. My point is this: would you do it?
I've been offered it.
Of course.
I'm not sure whether it would. In a word, no. But I'm not sure whether it would demotivate me. I'm not there yet. I don't think. I'm not there yet. I don't have to think about it until 2025 anyway. But there's no plans. I'm not talking. Somebody did offer something casually to one of my people, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll see. And also, by the way, what's the story? Morning Glory is coming out, 30-year special and all the rest of it, isn't it?
Definitely Maybe's 30 next year.
Yeah.
And, I found a load of old master tapes with some pretty cracking stuff on it. So that's in the...
And when you write songs for this new album here now, I mean, Cancel Skies, did you ever sort of find yourself saying, that's a bit too what I used to do in the past, and I'd rather go this direction? In other words, that's too Oasis.
Funnily enough, the song Easy Now.
Yeah.
Right? So ordinarily, from Chasing Yesterday onwards, when I would come up, or when I would start to write a song and it sounded a bit Oasis-y, for the want of a better term, and I would get to the chorus, I would always just think, this is just a weaker version of Supersonic, or it's a weaker version of Cast No Shadow or something, and I would just bin it and go on to something else. But when I was writing Easy Now, when I got to the chorus and it took off, I was like, I think this is as good as Little by Little. And I persevered with it. And I think it stands up to any of the others. So it just depends on how... Usually they're not as good, but this one in particular was really good.
OK, well, let's check it out then. Easy Now is what it's called. The new album is called Cancel Skies, number 4 from Mr. Gallagher and High Flying Birds. And let's take a listen.
Easy now.
There you go, music from High Flying Birds from the new album called Cancel Skies, and that is Easy Now. Just taking a look at a few other bits. In fact, I think what I want to do, I want to stay with some people, because I mentioned David Bowie, and you went to you went to a Morrissey David Bowie gig when they were playing together. In fact, Morrissey called off an awful lot of those gigs. He pulled out of a lot of them.
Well, they fell out in the end.
Yeah, he really annoyed David Bowie, I think. But anyway, point about it is that you're sitting in your seat and somebody comes over and says, do you want to meet David? And you kind of genuinely went, who?
Yeah, well, yeah. You know, I was. Would you like to meet Dave? Was I to come and meet David? And I was like, David who? You know, it didn't dawn on me. We just call him Bowie, you know what I mean? And the woman said, David. And I was like, well, wow, no way. So I went down to the dressing room, and he was kind of. I wish I could. There's a few things in my life that I wish I could just do again, just to remember. That would be one of them. Would be sitting and having like a 20-minute sit down with David Bowie. I have no idea what we said. I have no idea at all. I couldn't tell you. I genuinely have no idea.
He did give you advice, as I mentioned earlier, to keep writing. Always keep writing.
Well, that was just before he died. Me and Kate Moss had accepted a lifetime achievement thing on the Brits on his behalf, and the night after I was at home, and my thing dinged for the email, and it was from some email address I didn't recognise, and it was, you know, David Bowie. It's like, you know, thanks for the shout out, keep writing, DB. And I emailed him back immediately saying, oh, you know, I can't remember what I said. And then he emailed me back immediately, and we had there was a 20-minute period where I was having a live conversation with him, and he was great, and he was just like, you know, keep writing and keep touring, and, you know, what you do is pretty special, and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, wow, you know, and yeah, but he's become, I mean, I've always loved him, but he's become more of a place where I would go to now when I'm writing, when I think, right, what would he do with this, or how would he sing this bit, or how would he go from that bit? So he's become more of an influence the older that I've got. You know, I've gone away from the Beatles thing more often now these days. And
yeah, but I also noticed there's a thing you can see on YouTube of you and Johnny Marr in the studio together, and you're really getting into the whole idea of where could we go with this and what could I do with that. You're trading off each other big time.
Yeah, well, Johnny's, I mean, forget about it. That guy's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I'm in a really privileged position where I've known Johnny for 30 years. He loves what I do, and at the end of every album session he does with me, this will be his third one now that he's done for me. I will say to him, mate, if you keep picking up the phone, I'm going to keep calling.
Yeah.
So you know, and he's like, he loves it. I mean, he's so into it, it's unbelievable. Not just what I do, that he's into it. You know, being the gunslinger coming in, and
of course,
and he's great, and he works in a very unique way where he doesn't want to hear the tracks before he arrives at the studio. He just come in, he'll set his equipment up, he'll put his guitar on, then he'll say, play it to me, and then he'll pick out the key, and then he's just kind of jamming along with it until it's fascinating watching him work when he's feeling his way into it. And we'll both know when he gets it, and we'll say, that's it. And then he works on it. He's amazing.
But you will do collaborations. I mean, anything from like Imelda May right around to, you know, Black Keys, etc. I think that they call you... I can't remember the chords. The Chord Lord. That's it.
The Black Keys thing actually just came right out of the blue a few months ago. I'd met Patrick once or twice. Didn't know him.
Patrick Carney,
never met the other fella, and Dan. And they were, you know, they're going to be in London. Do you want to come and do some writing at the studio? And I was like, yeah, go on, I'll give that a go. And honestly, we wrote 3 songs in a week. They're amazing.
Right.
They really are. It was. I wouldn't have done that at all if it wasn't for David Holmes, who
he produced your last album.
Yeah, who did Who Built the Moon, but was very insistent that you should write in the studio. I'd never done it before. Now I love doing it. If anybody calls me up, I'll go down the studio and just get involved. So I thank David for that.
God, I would have thought it'd be much better to have it all ready before you go to the studio.
Well, yeah, no, there's many ways.
See, I'm just thinking of the collaborations thing. You'll do it with a lot of people, but when it comes to writing, that's you on your own.
Do you know what? I'll do it for their stuff. I won't do it for mine.
That's what I mean.
I don't know why that is. There's a weird block about that. I'll do it. I'll do it with anybody if I like them and I think it's going to be good. But yeah, I mean, I've always got a stockpile of songs. I don't really need to get other people involved. I wouldn't work with me.
And if this stockpile of songs could give us another 2 albums?
Yeah, well, because that period of 2020, or that full year of 2020 and into 2021 with the COVID thing, there was nothing much to do except sit and write. And I wrote, and there seemed to be 3 different types of songs. There was this bunch, which were quite a traditional High Flying Birds thing, which is kind of, some of it's groove based, it's strings, it's a bit more kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but reminiscent of the high-flying birds. Then there's an acoustic bunch, really stripped down, that thing that I do, like Dead in the Water and stuff like that. And then there's another bunch which are stadium rock tunes.
Right, okay, well, let's play one of the ones you mentioned. This is Dead in the Water.
If you're happy, I'd love one more time.
Mel, do you want to give that a listen?
Just going to do it once more. Have we got time?
There's time to do another one,
Okay.
Does it have more spirit? You sung that with more spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, shows the night is slipping through my hands. I fall into the sea like the empire built on the sand. I've been thinking about the days when we had no money. The photograph of you, well, it still seems funny. Gotta get back to the promised land. So don't walk away, love. There's never enough that could make me crash on the broken glass. Let the storm rage. I'll die on the wave, but I will not rest while love lies dead in the water. Dead in the water. In the water. Dead in the water. And I'm waiting for the calm as the storm's getting under my skin. I'm trying to fix the hole in my head where the rain gets in. It's dripping in my ear and it don't sound funny. Gonna take you out when I get some money. Trying to get it back to the promised land. So don't walk away, love. There's never enough that could make me crash on the broken glass. Let the storm rage. I die on the waves, but I will not rest while love lies dead in the water. Dead in the water. In the water. Dead in the water. So don't walk away, love. There's never enough that could make me crash on the broken glass. Let the storm rage. I die on the waves, but I will not rest while love lies dead in the water. There's never enough that could make me crash on the broken
Just a little taste there of Ballad of the Mighty Eye, going back in time with Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Noel Gallagher, 2 hour specialist where you are. It's Dave Fanning here till 4 o'clock. And I'm going to come back to 2023 Noel shortly. But I'm also going to give you bits of Noel interviews that I did down through the years. And here's a bit of serious history, right? This is an interview with Noel and Bonehead from Oasis, which took place before the release of the very first Oasis album. And it starts with the two of them on their acoustic guitars with a version of a song that was to become a classic with Noel on vocals. Let's jump in here. Okay, let's see, 24 and a half minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. Good evening, Bonehead. Good evening, Noel.
Good evening.
From the band Oasis. Let's say, just since we've had some numbers from the album already, 2 numbers in the programme tonight, you both got guitars. What are you going to do? Give us something live.
Could do Live Forever for you. Yeah?
Which we played earlier.
Oh, alright then.
But no, I know. I'd like to hear it this way. No, that's what I'm trying to say.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Did you ever feel the pain?
like it. Okay, Noel and Bonehead, fair play to you. That's the current single, of course. Well, the current smash hit single, I should add, indeed, from Oasis, and that's just the two of you there on guitars here live in the studio with it. Now, the album is just about out, right? It's going to be out in a few days' time, at the end of the month,
Yeah,
right?
Monday.
Okay, and like the press have had it, and the press have got it, and the press have given it a serious thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
Is it a relief to have the album out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a serious relief.
Yeah.
Was there a problem, or was there a possibility that fights on ferries and fights on stage and this, that and the other and hotel room trashings and all the rest might start getting in the way and getting in the way of the music? And that's Oasis, that's what they are, they're a bunch of whatever.
Yeah. But not only that, I mean, that did detract from the music for a while. We're sort of getting over at that now, but not only that, but because the songs on the album are mostly 2 years old anyway, so we've been living with them songs for 2 years, so we just want to get this album out in the shops, and we want to go and tour it around the world and then just go and do another one, because we've been living with this album for 2 years.
And you have enough stuff together, I presume, for another one?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
No problem.
No.
So we're not in a sort of a 5 years between albums, Stone Roses situation, or maybe 6 or 7.
Not so. No.
It's nothing like that at all. No. So you will have one out pretty soon then, maybe a year or two.
We'll have one out this time next year, hopefully, if everything goes to plan.
Okay, what does it mean though when, like, I mean, regardless of what it is, like you have press releases that say you're the greatest thing since sliced pan or whatever, but you've also got the press saying the same thing. Is it a bit of a dodgy one, having the press saying that a little bit too much? I mean, you're this year's thing whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's probably very good if you play it well, but do you think you've played it well so far?
We always thought we were the greatest band in England anyway, so for somebody else to start saying it didn't really surprise us, but it does tend to put a lot of people off when you've been plastered across all the music press, and people just tend to go, oh well, they can't be that good because of what the media's saying. But people can actually go into the shop and buy 3 singles by us today, and next week they'll be able to go and buy 3 singles and an album and a load of B-sides, so there'll be at least nearly 25 songs. So we're not just an invention of the press. We're actually a band who does write songs, and we do put them in the shops, and people can go and buy them, and then they can judge us by the music, because all the hype and all the the stuff about ferries and all that lasts for a week in the press, and then it's forgotten about, or it lasts for 6 months and people keep mentioning it. But the album and the records will be in the shops for the next 50, 60, 70 years. So that is what will stand the test of time.
So in other words, let the music do the talking.
Yeah, exactly.
And in terms of classic albums, seminal albums, etc., in the year 2020, you'd like people to look back on this album released next year?
I think they will do.
I'd like people to look back and say it was the first of many.
The first of many. Definitely, maybe, being the album. Okay. Just one thing about, there's obviously going to be some comparisons made towards the Suede thing in terms of just that press thing again. The way, for instance, Suede with the cover of 19, I think, magazines before they even released their debut album. And I think they did well. I mean, when the album came out, it was bloody okay, it wasn't...
It was a good
considering, I thought it wasn't going to be that good. But even the slow songs I thought were good. Yeah. But by the same token, there's this big thing about, with every band, obviously, making it in America or doing it in America. And you've been over there recently.
Yeah.
And how important is that to you? Because let's face it, Suede didn't do it.
No. Well, the thing about bands like Blur and Suede is that they're too English for a start. So some kid in Boston ain't going to understand what Brett Anderson no one's going to understand Parklife outside of Putney or something
Watford
like that.
Gap.
Or anyone north of Watford Gap ain't going to get on Parklife. I was talking to someone on the phone the other day from Australia who said, do you guys ever see Blur? So we said, yeah, and he said, could you tell him that the rest of the world doesn't get the joke?
Cruel, but possibly fair. Well, I don't know.
But I think that, we've got the songs that people all over the world probably can relate to, like Cigarettes and Alcohol, and like Live Forever, which is just a love song, really, But we're not that interested in cracking America. We'll go over there and do the gigs, and if people buy the records, then they'll decide whether we crack America or not. We're not going over there desperately crawling on our hands and knees to our record company saying,
we've got to crack America.
Please get us a top 10 in America. It's like Bill Shankly always said, you've got to win the league before you can enter the European Cup, haven't you? So
this is quite true indeed. All right. God bless him. Okay, well then, what about with the album out now then, and just the whole idea that people will hear this thing? I mean, if you take it from the album that you used to listen to yourself, for instance, what were they, by the way? I mean, you were talking, people keep talking Beatles. You're too young to remember the Beatles.
Yeah, of course I am.
But I mean, I
was born the day Sgt. Pepper's came out.
1st of June 1967.
It was, in fact, I'll tell you, I was born the day of the press conference, which was the 29th of May 1967.
Really? Yeah. I see.
What are you laughing at in there?
So, then what did the Beatles mean to you? Because by the time you were out of nappies, they were gone.
Yeah, but what the Beatles mean to us as a band is some people who are maybe, I don't know, 10 years or older than us can remember life without the Beatles. We can never remember life without the Beatles. The Beatles have always been there for us. We don't remember what it was like before 1962 because I was only born in 1967. So as far as I'm concerned, the Beatles have been with me since the day I was born.
Yeah.
You know, so they just... Plus they made, you know, the first 2 records I ever heard were the Beatles, the Red Album and the Blue Album. And that's what taught me how to play guitar. That's what
2
taught
compilations.
me how to write songs. Yeah.
Have you gone back to listen to things maybe like Revolver, Rubber Soul and stuff like
Oh,
that?
I've got every single one. I've got all the bootlegs and everything. But the 2 greatest albums are the red one and the blue one because you've got all the singles on there and you've got... If anybody, God forbid, there's out there that's never heard the Beatles, I mean, I'm sure there must be, well, my gran for a start, probably.
Our drummer.
And our drummer. And it's like... you know, if anybody needs an introduction to the Beatles, I'd say buy the red one and the blue one. You've got everything there from Love Me Do to, you know, Hey Jude.
No, but the White Album isn't on the red and the blue, you know, to stick with the colours. And the White Album's the greatest album they ever made, I think.
Obla My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Oh, all right, okay. But like, it's about 25 tracks on that double album, you know. It's another 20.
It's a great album, but I'm saying it's like you've got on the White Album you've got great songs like you know, like Dear Prudence and Back in the USSR, but you've also got Piggies and Honey Pie, you know what I mean? And number, you know, Revolution number 9 and all that carry on. You got a lot. There's a lot.
You've also got Sexy Sadie and Happiness is a Warm Gun, and you won't get them in the blue and the red album. They're brilliant.
No. But you would have
anyway,
done the track listing.
In ridiculous semantics about the Beatles. Okay, so listen, the story, just very briefly then. Like, I mean, when Manchester was happening, or Manchester, let's call it, was happening in terms of Stone Roses and in terms of etc. Happy Mondays, what were you doing? I mean, you were was Oasis even alive?
No.
It really is that young. It really is only a year old we're talking about.
No,
it's more than well, it's
1991.
Okay, 1991. So therefore, what were you doing when Manchester was happening?
I was going down the Hacienda.
To see the bands in question?
I was too busy having a good time to think about being in a band. And then it all sort of got a bit boring, and then we decided that, you know, we all live around the same area and all play guitars, and we're all into the same music, so why didn't we do something to relieve the boredom? Didn't really think about that it'd end up like this until we wrote a couple of really decent songs and then thought, right, well, we're good enough now. And then we started to put ourselves about a bit, and as luck would have it, we sort of got the break when Alan McGee seen us in a club in Glasgow and just gave us a deal.
And like, had you listened to the Smiths in the mid-80s in terms of Manchester?
Oh, yeah. My mate Johnny's a good mate of mine. I've got one of his guitars, by the way, actually.
Really? Johnny Marr? He's a good mate.
Somebody said to us tonight, you're the greatest Irish band since the Smiths.
Really? That's fair enough. Yeah, I suppose we better clear up this bit, Noel. I mean, as in Noel Gallagher. Where's it from? Mayo or somewhere?
Mayo. So his parents. All our parents are Irish.
From Mayo as well.
The Bonehead family.
Bonehead. Big Irish name. Head. Never heard of the Head.
Yeah, have you never heard of Old Head?
And where in Mayo and who in Mayo? Is it Granny's or
Swinford, man?
Oh, Swinford, yeah.
Charlestown, mine, which is just the next one up the road. Charlestown.
And who are we talking about here? Are we talking about grandparents?
No, my parents.
Oh, parents.
Parents,
yeah.
Right,
parents from Charlestown. Granny still lives there, Sunner Bridge. My uncle lives in a place called Mordo, got his own mushroom growing business. Sweeney's Mushrooms. You'd probably see him in Sainsbury's.
Less said about that, the better.
Absolutely. What kind of mushrooms are we talking about?
I'm not winding it up.
Sounds like a Gallagher to me.
Yeah, mushrooms and all that, yeah.
Very good. So I presume, have you been here much before? Or?
I was over 2 months ago, see me grow.
I've not been since I was about sort of 16, so that's a long time ago, because I'm the old man of the band.
You're the old man of the band. Bonehead is the old man of the band.
I'm hoping to go back at Christmas, because my parents went back last year.
Go back home, as they say.
They've gone back home, they've gone to Foxford, so I'm going to go at Christmas, hopefully, for a week.
Right.
And chill out, as you do.
Alright, well listen, getting back to Manchester then, I mean, the whole Tony Wilson thing right the way through, the Hacienda you mentioned, like the Manchester thing, I mean, was it as good a scene there as people know?
No.
There was only
that
two
bad,
bands.
yeah?
There was the Stone Roses and the Happy Mondays, and that was it. And then there was a lot of other bands that started up and got record deals and all the rest of it on the strength of that. And where are they now? In fact, even where are them other two bands now?
Where were they then?
Where were they then even, yeah. I mean, the Stone Roses are in the studio doing the album and all that, and God knows what's going on there, but the rest of the bands just sort of faded into insignificance. But the thing that I remember most about it is, like, She Bangs the Drums is probably...
It's one of the greats, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The Stone Roses,
brilliant single, yeah.
You know, the Stone Roses did leave us with some great songs like I Wanna Be Adored and Fool's Gold and She Bangs the Drums and Waterfall and stuff like that. The Happy Mondays, a few good tunes, but I don't think the scene was that great. I don't think scenes are.
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, like, if, for instance, that was happening now, whether you like it or not, like, half the country would probably think you're baggy. They'd certainly call you Manchester, etc. if it was happening. Would that be annoying to be roped in with something that would mean nothing to you?
Yeah.
In other words, it's better that you're almost in isolation in some ways, because, like, that's what Manchester is in isolation for.
Yeah. It's good that scene
fix this chair.
been and gone.
I'm alright now. What were you saying? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's that you're happy to sort of live in isolation. As
I think you've got to. There's like a lot of bands now who jumped on the new wave bandwagon in England are now wishing to Christ.
But I mean, is there such a thing, or is that just like?
I don't think there's not such a thing. It's just an invention of the press, isn't it? I mean, there was nothing going on.
And to smash these Animal Men, maybe a couple more you get in. I don't know. They seem to want to add in Echolali. I don't know why.
Where are they?
Elastica.
Yeah,
where are Elastica? Good.
You know, and like there's bands that stand on their own. Sadly, there's only. I mean, like we're not part of New Wave, which is fine by us. We never wanted it anyway. And if they'd have stuck that tag on us, we'd have completely, like, you know, said we're not part of it. And then sometimes it's better to be in a scene because, you know, that scene will carry you for a certain amount of time. But anything's better than being in Shed 7 these days.
Cilla Black used to do the coats at the Cavern. Did you know that? And she, look at her now, biggest thing on television. And if it wasn't for hanging around the Beatles, that scene, the Mersey scene. Yeah. Okay, well listen, look, that's just the thing about that gig you did up in Scotland. I mean, why would you possibly want to hitch to Scotland to beg a guy for a gig? Why didn't you just beg the guy down the road for a gig?
Because we've been playing. We didn't. Right, let's get the story straight in. We didn't hitch to Scotland, and we didn't beg anyone for a gig. Right?
Oh really?
Somebody
I've got those two wrong.
Somebody who was in a band in Glasgow knew us through somebody else and said, "Do you know any bands that would come up and play a gig?" So they said, "Well, I know this band called Oasis." So he said, "Well, we asked them will they come up?" So we said, "Yeah, we'll come up." We hired a van, put loads of people in it. We charged them money for the petrol. I said, "You pay them money towards the petrol, we'll get you into the gig for free. We'll have a good night." And they said, "Fine." So we got to the gig after driving all day. And the promoter said, "I've never heard of you, you're not supposed to be playing here tonight, so, you know, we're not going to let you play." So we sort of pointed out the fact to him that he had 2 security guards on the door and there was 17 of us. I sort of stood there and said, "So what are you going to do about that then?" And he said, "Well, if you put it like that, I suppose I can give you sort of half an hour." So we went on. When the doors opened, it was about 7:30. Started playing, and unbeknown to us, Alan McGee had just missed his train back to London round the corner, and he had an hour to kill for the next train, and he just decided that he was going to go for a drink in the club. Walked in the doors, we were going on stage, someone said, "Who's this band?" And he said, "Oh, they're a bunch of guys who just threatened to smash the place up if we didn't let them play." And he went, "Alright." And then he got to, never heard of them, from Manchester, aren't they, some lippy manx. Bought a drink, watched us do the gig, came off stage, give us a 6-album deal. Just like that. Sounds bizarre, but it's true.
I mean, it is the kind of thing I'm going to be reading about in the history of rock and roll for the 90s. The year 2000. I'm going to say, "Oh yeah, well, you know, they did tell me that," but it's really true, that story.
That's totally true.
That's exactly how it was.
God, well, I bought a lotto ticket today. I haven't checked the numbers.
I was like, "Alan who?"
Yeah, right. You didn't know who Alan McGee was, no?
I knew who he was.
I knew he was, but I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know a great deal about sort of creation, apart from sort of Primal Scream and My Bloody Valentine and...
That's enough.
You know,
I mean, is it good enough being on Creation? Is it good being on Creation? Like, I mean, have you got the distribution with the bigger label elsewhere?
Couldn't be better.
Well, Sony sort of distribute Creation, but the thing about Creation is they just let us do what we want. You know, I mean, if we went in there tomorrow and said we want a 16-piece bassoon tuba section on the next record, they'd go, "Off you go, man." And they just let us do it. I mean, they
sounds like Paul McCartney to George Martin on the album that was made 2 days after you were born.
Yeah.
Okay, tell you what, I'm going to give you 1 minute to get your guitars together and play another song. Okay, we're live with 2 members of Oasis. I don't have my microphone anymore, so Noel, you introduce this because you need my microphone.
Right, okay, this was recorded 2 days ago. It's not live at all, by the way. No, this is Slide Away, and there it is.
Yeah, you got me on my knees. I dream of you, and we talk of growing up. Oh, but you said please don't. Sliding, baby, together we'll fly. I tried praying, but I don't know what you're saying to me. Now that you're mine, we'll find a way, chasing the sun. Let me be the one who shines with you, 'cause in the morning you won't know what to do. We're two of a kind. We'll find a way and do what we've done. Let me be the one who shines with you. We can slide away, slide away, slide it all you got. Mine today, yeah, falling from the top, dreaming you and all the things you say. I wonder where you are now. Sliding, baby, together we'll fly. I tried praying, but I don't know what you're saying to me. Now that you're mine, we'll find a way. We're chasing the sun.